Now, I know that this campaign is one of the most important in our lifetimes. I mean, we're either going to make a fundamental change in direction, or we're going to be seeing more of the same. Now, there are many reasons why people vote for somebody. And in our country, you can vote for or against anybody based on anything. That's the way our system works. And everybody's vote is equal. You know, you can be the richest person or the poorest person, but in that voting booth, you are the equivalent. And in this election, people have to understand that our future lies in all of our hands. The decision you will make about how you look at this election and who you end up voting for is one of momentous consequence. I want you to think about it as a hiring decision. Because, you know, in addition to our voting, where we kind of vote on emotion, or we vote on feeling, or we vote on whatever we decide to vote on, you got to realize that the American president works for the American people. Now, it may not feel like it right now, because we've had a president who has basically worked for the wealthy and the well-connected, the special interests and the privileged few. He sort of turned upside down that old phrase and kind of has a government of the few, by the few, and for the few. And that's never been the way America works best. But President Bush will leave next January. And what all of you are trying to decide is who comes next. Well, I hope so, but that's going to be up to all of you and millions of Americans. And how are you going to make that decision? Well, let's think first about the economy here in Indiana and around our country. When President Bush took office, it was at the end of 8 years where we had seen 22.7 million new jobs created, where we saw people lifted out of poverty, given a chance at a middle-class lifestyle, where we had so many people who were enjoying the benefits of what turned out to be the greatest economic opportunity we've had in a very long time, and where we saw the typical American and Indiana family seeing a gain of about $7,000 in income. And of course, there was a balanced budget and a surplus. It wasn't easy, but the federal government was kind of wrestled to the ground. And that budget had to be reined in because there was too much reckless spending that had gone on that indebted our country and put a burden of debt on the students who are here. Because it's not fair that every child born in America today is born with a $30,000 debt on his or her tiny shoulders. And so we were well positioned for the future. We had the resources to fix Social Security and Medicare. We had the wherewithal to chart our destiny in the world. We could begin to move toward clean energy and break our addiction to foreign oil by making smart investments in new technologies. We had a chance to really invest in manufacturing and the new jobs that we can keep and attract. But now we are going to start from a big hole. A lot of damage has been done. You know, that whole balanced budget and surplus, that was squandered. We have seen an increase in our indebtedness. We owe $9 trillion to everybody. You know, we owe money to every country just about, it seems. Not just China, we owe money to Mexico, we owe money to everybody. So we are dependent on them buying our debt. That does not sound like a good strategy for American success going forward. So what I will do is get back to what works for America, not for the privileged few, not for the wealthy and the well-connected, but for the middle-class families, the hard-working families, the people who get up every day and do the best they possibly can here in Indiana and across our country. And I think I know something about what it will take to turn this economy around. I've been talking about how we need to stop this home foreclosure crisis. People are losing their homes, and that is bad for everybody, because if you have a vacant house in your neighborhood, your home values go down. You have a magnet for crime. You have lowered property tax revenues so that police and fire start getting cut, which affects everybody. And I've laid out very specific plans about what I would do to try to prevent that. I have proposed a way to provide health care for everyone. Pretty simple. We take the same plan members of Congress have and give it to every American so that you have those opportunities. And we know how closely connected the economy is to education, so we need to keep investing in the young people of America, because for me, this is not about the next election, this is about the next generation and what we're going to do to make sure you have the opportunities that you deserve to have in your lives. So that means we are going to make college affordable again for middle class and hard-working students. And we're going to work with business and labor and community colleges for more job training and apprenticeship programs, so young people who don't go to college will be able to have a good job with a rising income and meet the needs of themselves and their families. But what you have to decide is, are these just words? Or am I somebody you can count on to deliver? Am I somebody who, whether you look to yourselves or your neighbors or your children, am I somebody who will get up every day and go to work for you? Well, that is what I believe is my responsibility. That is what I've done in New York, where when I started running, everybody said, the same people who say it about me today, I could never win, I'd never get independents or Republicans to vote for me. Well, I just got reelected with 67% of the vote from across the state of New York. And why? Because I believe actions speak louder than words. I believe going to work for you is what I am called to do, and that's what I would do as your president. So if you want a fighter in the White House, if you want a champion for the American economy, if you want someone who never forgets your faces, never forgets what it's like to have lost your job and then see all these members of your family lose your job, or to work for nearly 33 years in a company that does so much for the American economy and then wonder whether you're going to wake up in a year or two and see the Humvee made in China. If you worry about that, and I think we all should, then I hope you will hire me to be your next president to go to work for you. Thank you all very, very much. Question. Thank you all so much.